Alright, so now we're on page 107 in the Math 1 book, numbers 19 through 22. The directions say find the vertex of the graph of the function. Make a table of value using x values to the left and right of the vertex. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do numbers 20 and 22. It's up to you to do the rest. But this says find the vertex. On numbers 7 through 18, it said to tell me whether it opens upward or downward, then find the AOS, then find the vertex. Well, we have to find the axis of symmetry before we even find the vertex. So, as a matter of fact, even though the instructions say just find the vertex, you're going to have to find the axis of symmetry. So, first step, AOS. And this is what I tell people is that the first step of graphing a quadratic in standard form is always to find the axis of symmetry. So x equals negative b over 2a. So that is, let me get a little closer here. That's negative, and I'm going to work downwards, I guess. Negative 6 over 2 times negative 1. I have two negatives in the fraction. That's going to make it positive 6 over 2. Positive 6 over 2 is 3. X equals 3 is our axis of symmetry. So therefore, right here in the middle is where I'm going to put my vertex. Notice that your vertex has an x value of 3. How do you go about finding the y value? Let me show you. Y equals, and you just come back to your main equation here, negative 3 squared plus 6 times 3 minus 2. A lot of you do not have the parentheses, but please write those parentheses, because if I don't write the parentheses, then I'm probably accidentally going to make the mistake of negative 3 squared. I'm going to call it positive 9, but this is actually negative 9. Okay? Negative 9 plus 18 minus 2. Negative 9 plus 18 is 9, so 9 minus 2 is 7. So that is my y value when I plug in 3. So 3 comma 7. Okay? And the way you find the rest of the values is that you just plug in two values to the left of 3 and two values to the right of 3. Okay? You don't have to be that close to 3, but the closer the better, really. So I would go ahead and use those if I were you. Now let me show you something on the calculator. I'm going to have to come out just a little bit, and hopefully you can still see it. But I want you to click Table. Let me see if I can get the lighting a little bit better. There it is. Push Table, and then type in your function. Negative. Sorry, I'm typing in that negative button, and then that x is your variable button. Negative x squared, okay, plus 6x minus 2. And then you just push enter a few times. It says you want to start at 0. Actually, you can make it start at 3 if you want to. You don't have to. You can just keep pushing enter here. And look there. It gives me a table. So if I substitute in a 1, I get 3, 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, 6, and 5, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute those values in my table. I said 1, I get a 3, and 2, I get a 6. And then I'm just going to use this axis of symmetry. It's called symmetry because there is some symmetry in the table here as well. Alright, so that's how you would So you would plug in values into a table to find out exactly what points the quadratic goes through. Okay, so number 22. Same kind of question, a little bit more difficult because there's a fraction in front here. So let's just approach it the same way and see if it's indeed too hard to do. I doubt it is, though. X equals negative b over 2a. So, negative 2 over 2 times 1/3. Wow, that is an ugly number. I see that there's 2 negatives in this number, so it makes it a positive 2 on top. And it looks like a 2/3 on the bottom. And remember, division by a fraction is just like multiplying by the reciprocal. So it's just 6 over 2, which is 3. So even though it looks ugly, our x value of our vertex is simply 3. And then from there, you have to find out what y is. So y equals 1/3 times 3 squared minus 2 times 3 plus 3. This is 1/3 times 9 is 3 minus 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3. 3 minus 6 plus 3. That looks like a 0. 3, 0. 3, 0. And then you don't have to pick these exact values, but I like to pick values like this, kind of close to the 3. Okay, so now I'm going to take us back to the calculator because you can do all this by hand by plugging in a 2 and then a 1 and then just using the axis of symmetry to find 4 and 5, but we might be able to use a calculator here. So I'm going to push table, and I actually have to delete all of what I had earlier. So type in 1 over 3 x squared. Sorry if you can't see this. Got to find a better way of putting this in. So minus 2x plus 3. Enter. I'm just going to push enter, 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 enter. And now I go down to 3. And it looks like if I plugged in a 2, I get 1/3. And if I plug in a 1, I get 4/3. So 4/3, 1/3, 4/3, 1/3. And then I'm just going to substitute in a 1/3 here and a 4/3. Okay, so this is not a challenging question, even though it has a fraction out front. It would be more challenging if I asked you to do this by hand, and I'm asking you to plug in a 2 by hand and then a 1 by hand. And I can ask you to do that. I'm okay asking you, expecting that you are able to do this. However, it is a lot of wasted time of learning these concepts, and these concepts I think are more important than learning how to plug in a 2 and how to plug in a 1. I think you guys should have had a lot of practice with this in 7th and 8th grade, and I will give you plenty of practice in 9th grade as well. So anyways, enjoy this. I hope it helps you eventually be able to graph quadratics. Take care.